Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewelry you come from. You da you and me da me. But guess what? All are we the one. See what I mean? Jump and shout all over the nation. We're breaking out with a new creation.
Our Belize Watch team traveled to Dangriga, where we spoke with Town Administrator Francis Flores. He shared a bit of the history of the municipality. We will have that discussion after we hear from our partners, the Barry, Shell Belize Limited, B&E Charitable Trust, and the National Gas Company.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with we Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep me dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches, and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal at the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I did do my lead part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we're proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
It don't matter what part of the jewelry.
And we are in the offices of the Dangriga Tongue Council. And with me is the Tongue Administrator, Mr. Francis Flores. And thank you for welcoming me, Mr. Flores, and to the council here in Dangriga. And thank you for agreeing to share with us what you know of the history of Dangriga. Accompanying me today is none other than my granddaughter, one of my granddaughters, Kylie Castillo Villanueva, right? So Kylie, welcome. It's good having you here. And Kylie will be co-hosting with me. So let's, Mr. Flores, let me allow Kylie to introduce herself to you, right? So we'll do that so you get to know her. I guess everybody know who I am, but let me allow her to introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Kylie Castillo. I attend SCA. I am in 4th form, and I will be graduating in June. I will be going to 6th form at St. John's.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it's good to have you here, Kylie, and thanks for accompanying me on the show. And as we said, we'll be both talking to Mr. Francis Flores about the history of where?
Dangriga.
Okay, so make sure I tell about the ball, right? Mr. Francis Flores will be telling us about the history of Dangriga. But I think we should get to know Mr. Flores first, right?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. So you want to ask him who he is?
So who are you, Mr. Flores?
Well, my full name is Francis Simon Flores, and I'm also a Justice of the Peace. You know, and I have been a champion of the grassroots. You know, I have spent all my life, all right, in Dangriga. I have never been to other parts of the world. The farthest I've been to is Chetomal and Melchor. That is to show you, you know, that I am a son of the soil, a servant of the people, and I continue to do so.
Now, what made you decide to dedicate yourself in service to the people of Dangriga? What spurred that decision?
Growing up as a youth, like I remember clearly when I was in third farm at Dangriga Communal High School. At that time, a group of students, right, from the school, right, were made aware of a curfew at that time as a result of a number of us, and of course a number of people fighting against an independent Belize at that time. And so I was one of a group of students at the time, who went around the town closing businesses and so on, right? And I could recall that time quite a number of our people violated the curfew, and then they went to what we refer to as Peace House for a period of 24 hours, and they paid $30 to be able to come out. That started my involvement, right? Not only in community service, but actually in politics. And the person who I owe this to is Dr. Theodore Aranda. Because I was a member of his youth group at the time, when he was the leader of the Christian Democratic Party. So that started my political career at that time.
And to put things a little in context, what you're referring to is the heads of agreement, the riots that were ensued after the heads of agreement were released the year of Belize's independence. So you're talking the year 1980. That's putting the whole thing into context. And Dr. Aranda at that time was the leader of the United Democratic Party at that time. He was the leader of the opposition, really, in the United in the government. So, and the United Democratic Party at that time was opposed to the independence of Belize, right? That's putting it into context. And so you had the riots and the heads of agreement over the heads of agreement, which history has undoubtedly shown was actually missold, misrepresented. But that's another story. We'll talk about that another time. But let's get back to you now. And so that's what got you into politics of the day, right?
Right. Yes, and I grew up in the Bakatong area of Dangriga. And I'm proud to say that Bakatong, right, have produced good people, prominent people, right? And one of those people, right, is our former Minister of Defense, era Representative, former Mayor of Dangriga, Sylvia Flores, the Honorable Sylvia Flores, right? She came from that era, and there are many other. The late Jess Flores, our internationally renowned musician, who have passed away, also came from Bakatong. Peter Poots Flores as well also came from the area. Reckless Flores also came from the area. So Bakatong has produced some very good people who are still around right now, promoting our rich culture.
Yes. And those names you mentioned, each one of them brought back something to me because I'm familiar with each one of them, Particularly, I have very good memories of the Honorable Sylvia Flores and the role she played. She was a very good person in my mind even as a politician,
Mm-hmm. Yes, and way back then, as coming up as a child, I attended Holy Ghost Primary School. Holy Ghost Primary School was opened in 1964, I attended the school in 1966. You know, that's a long time. And I could recall in those days, the principals of all Catholic schools were nuns. And they were very, very strict. All right? It was, and in those days, though, I mean, there are certain things you wouldn't want to, right, to talk about, yes. But, however, the kind of training that was instilled in us by the nuns at that time, you know, was still reflecting today in quite a number of us, the way we grew up and so on. Because they used to lash us, right? The issue of corporal punishment wasn't an issue at that time. It was normal, right, for you to be lashed, you know, by the principals, by your teachers, your parents, and so on. You know, and I remember growing up in the Bakatong area in Southside Dangriga. Way back then, we were not allowed to go to the north side of Dangriga. We were not allowed.
What is that?
Now, what happened is that, you know, something about north and south. In those days, we used to refer to it as Loba, meaning on the other side. Loba means on the other side. And so we were not allowed to go that side. Well, and in those days, you dare not question why. You dare not question why. All right? So we didn't question it, right? Because our parents at that time were very, very strict. And life wasn't easy, right, in those days. It wasn't easy at all. You know, but we got by. We got by, right? In some cases, by the grace of God, right? But one good thing about our people way back then, right, is that they were involved in their traditional lifestyles.
Okay, so you're saying that those from the north were not allowed to go to the south, or from the south were not allowed to go to the north. And what about those from the north? Could they come to the south?
What? No, it was basically the same thing. But you know how children are, you know, children will be children. Those from the north side would come decide to challenge us on a number of matches. You know, like tap spinning, marble pitches, you know, slingshot shooting, and so on. They would come this way. But every now and then there would be fights, right? There would be fights. Because those from the south side, right, are not comfortable with those from the north side. And so every now and then, just little things just spark out of control, and we begin to fight.
What would lead to that tension? What would cause that tension between north and south? What was the fundamental difference between both sides?
Well, I believe it came from our parents in already. Because they were the ones who tell, in Garifuna, right? Magaba nata yindo ba loba. Let me not hear that you go to the north side. You know, things like that. All right? So that goes way back, right? Right? And like I said earlier, you dare not question why. Right? So we didn't question why, right? But knowing children, you know, some of us still sneak to go over, right, to the north side, and those from the north side would come over to the south side. Because many of us didn't actually follow our parents as well. Yeah, we do what we want to do.
Has that changed?
It has changed over the years. I've noticed a change since 73. Actually, the name Stan Creek changed on 1st of January 1973 to Dangriga. Quite a number of us, right, few at that time, you know, were able, right, to attend high school. We had two high schools. We had the Stan Creek High School, and we have the Aston High School on the north side of town, right? But when, as a result of our area, Dangriga, being prone to hurricane, right? Those schools, one case in point is right in front of Anglican School, right? Because one of our high schools was right there, right in front of Anglican School. What happened is that those slabs for that building are in the sea. They're in the sea as we speak, all right? And so now, in 1974, there was an amalgamation right, of Stan Creek High and Aston High to form Ecumenical High School, right? So quite a number, so all of us now, many of us rather, right, from the north and south, right, met at the high school now because of that amalgamation. We met at the high school. And so it was from there that we began seeing a change. So it has changed over the years as a result of the education system.
Now, Mr. Flores, I think this might be a good time for us to go back to the origin, the beginning of what is today's Dangriga culture capital, right? How did the culture capital start? I mean, I've read about it and I guess I know, but I want to hear from you. How did the culture capital start?
Okay.
Way back when?
Yes. As history taught us, way back in 1802, 150 families came to settle in the area known as Stan Creek. And so when our people came, right, they came with their, well, of course, their traditional lifestyle. You know, they're hunting, they're fishing, they're farming. You know, they brought yams, they brought cassava, you know, and then they brought other fruits and so on. And when they came, they settled right in the Bridgefoot area, right in the Bridgefoot area in Dangriga, right at the bridge area there. When our people came, that creek, right, ran so smoothly, it wasn't as wide as it is now, all right? And so some of our people, when they came, when they looked at the creek, right, it appeared as if it is standing. Hence the name Standing Creek, which is Stan Creek, you know. And I said earlier that that name changed on 1st January 1973 to become Dangriga. Now, and in those days, right, the area was very small, right? It's only around there, and then it began its expansion to the north and to the south, so that in the early 70s, the area known as Lakeland opened, and the area known as Benguche area also opened. In 1984, I could recall, Dangriga was still at the Bakatong area, bordered by the Havana Creek. And that expansion began taking place around that time. That whole area where you have Ecumenical Drive, Ecumenical College, all the way, all those lands were farmlands of our people, right? And our people went to the farm every single day, all right? But some of them had a belief that they should not go to the farm during the Easter because, you know, that come with a lot of myths, and our people believe in quite a number of those. And so some of them wouldn't go, but some, despite those myths, they still go to the farm. And so it wasn't easy in those days. And there were times when some of our children would go to school, you know, without food, actually, right? But when the father, right, comes from fishing, right, normally, right, the mother would have cooked the rice or prepared some cassava so that when the father comes with the fish, right, it's just to fry it and so we eat. Or in some cases, right, we have to wait until later, right, when our people come again from the farm or some from hunting so that we can eat. All right. In terms of sharing what we have in those days, right, the mother would buy one pencil, and then that pencil will be broken into half to share as the case may be. All right. And sometimes too, you know, pull out middle pages out of an exercise book so that, you know, this was the way it was like in those days. Like sometimes the sugar cane, right? Because we used to eat a lot of sugar cane in those days, right? Before we can eat coming from school, well, bam, we have the sugar cane, right? Our parents would just cut that maybe in 2 or 3 and so on, a piece for you and a piece for you. So that was what was like. It was like in those days. And so in terms of opportunities, those were very, very limited. So that when you get the opportunity to have graduated from high school, that was a big deal.
You mentioned myths earlier. What types of myths were there back then in terms of with Easter and such?
Well, I will give you one. If you go to the farm on Good Friday, you will hear sounds from the ground, right? If you shoot, if you're a hunter and then you shoot, or you're aiming, right, at something, right, you can freeze and don't move. Or you will hear a sound telling you to do X, Y, Z. Things like that, right? And then, of course, there are others that are associated with women. No need to go into that.
and Estabai and those, you know, those famous, what do you call it, mythological figures.
When we come back, Flores speaks on his involvement in his community and highlights some Garifuna leaders. We take a break to hear from our partners.
The B&E Charitable Trust, working in the development of Belize by inspiring young Belizean entrepreneurs to dream and to dream big. The National Gas Company, fueling Belize forward. The National Gas Company makes sure that you not only have a guaranteed supply of gas for every household need, but also that it is of the highest quality always. Shell Belize has been fueling Belize for many, many years, and they have done so reliably and with a lot of dependability. And the Barry stores in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio, Orange Walk, and San Pedro, offering you much more for much less. Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The Trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep me dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal to the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I did do my lead part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we're proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Walk, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well! go shall.
It don't matter what part of the jewel.
Going back to early Dangriga, how was Dangriga first settled? You gave me an idea, but at least we enacted it in the Uremi every year. But how was Dangriga first settled, as far as you know?
Okay, in those days, like after between 1811 and 1814, you see, our people who brought their produce and so on from the farm, right, were not making enough, selling among themselves, right, so they started to go to Belize town, Belize city at the time, right, they started to go there, all right, and then they encountered some problems. Between 1811 and 1814, they did encounter some problems. To them at that time, right, they were not liked by the British as a result of their history. They were not liked, and so they were considered as the most dangerous people, right, by the governor, right, and the British authorities. That's the way they felt at that time, and they were only given 48 hours to stay within the city. All right, so that was some of the problems that our people went through, right, at that time, you know. But despite that, right, they struggled, and look at them today, you know, a resilient people. They have always been a resilient people, and they are still resilient today.
Again, putting it in context, we would remember that the Garinagu nation was on the island of St. Vincent, and the British invaded St. Vincent. The Garinagu fought on the side of the French. The French were defeated. The Garinagu were isolated. They were brought to Honduras. Again, took part, correct me if I'm wrong, in another revolution there. And some had to flee and come towards where Belize is. And then you had to go to the same British now and ask for refuge, and they were reluctant at first. And they decided, okay, well, we'll let you stay, but you'll have to be so many miles away from where we are, which was mainly in Belize Tongue. And so when you go to Belize Tongue, you're allowed that 48 hours. You can only be in Belize Tongue for an amount of time. You have to have a pass to be in Belize Tongue at any given time, which is part of our old colonial past that I guess we don't talk about much, but that was the thing. You know, you were of Garinagu descent or Garifuna descent. You had to have a pass to be in Belize City and Belize Tongue at night, so or over those 48 hours. You recall that, right? Am I right?
Yes.
In what I'm saying?
Right. Just to go back to that, when our people, after the deportation of our people to Roatan, from St. Vincent to Roatan and Bonacca in the Bay Islands, right, way back in 1797. So when our people, because, you know, Joseph Satuye was killed in Battle on March 13, 1795, all right, in St. Vincent. And so after that, the deportation took place. Some 5,080 of our people, right, were deported to Honduras. You know, that's a sizable number, but quite a number of them, right, did not make it due to a number of factors. And some of them managed to find the coast of Honduras. And so, as you said earlier, Rene, some of our people, like I said, who always remain resilient, you know, fight back and so on, they side in with a movement called the Royalist Movement, where it was believed at that time that they tried to overthrow the Honduran government. And so some of them escaped as a result of that, right to the shores of Belize. Quite interesting. And then just to go back a little too in the way how we used to set up the settlement in Dangriga. You know, our people used to use thatch houses, and those who have good houses, right? Well, not us, but the settlers, the British settlers who came, because some of them came here, right, and lived. And then I believe there might still be evidence of British-style homes in Dangriga, because those were the type of homes, you know, that belong to those well-to-do people, you know. And right, in those days, though, there were no survey of lands, right? You know, so it was more of a communal type setting, right? Where, since there were no pegs and so on, you know, we were like one family. Like I could recall way back then as a boy growing up, we grew up on what we refer to as Velasquez Estate. You know, there were no pegs there. You know, we passed through one another yard and so on. You know, no conflict, you know, in those days. So that was the way, right, we used to live. You know, we used to live communal, as opposed to now where things are quite different now. Okay.
So who are some of the Garifuna heroes, you would say?
We have quite a number of Garifuna heroes. We have Thomas Vincent Ramos, who came here, you know, as a child, you know, and made Dangriga his home. He made tremendous contribution to our culture, to our community. You know, he was a servant of the people, an ardent Methodist. He was. We have we have others. We have others. But later on, like during my time, right, we have Dr. Theodore Aranda. You know, I can't go without mentioning his name. Well, we have the Sylvia Flores, you know, one of our great leaders at that time. We have the late, great Alan Arthurs, right? The chief, I believe you're familiar with Alan, Sir Alan. And then, yes, go ahead.
I won't go forget the late David McCoy, who was one of the first ministers of the early government of Belize, you know, along with Alan Arthurs. You know, they were the two representatives for this area in the first ever local government that we had, I think, under Mr. George Price, Premier George Price. Mm-hmm. You know, those are two very active people from this area.
Yeah. Right. Oh.
But yeah.
Mm-hmm. And just to cite a few, right, of our leaders. Well, you know, in the times of those people, I was a boy, you know, coming up in those days. We do have other leaders going way back. Alejo Beni, you know, when Alejo Beni came, he brought some of our people along with him. You know, and hence the reason why we honored him, you know, in naming the Alejo Beni Park. You know, we've honored Thomas Vincent Ramos with a street and I guess a highway just recently. We also honored Sylvia Flores. You know, we just recently named a basketball court in the 3rd New Site area in her honor. We also honored Alan Arthurs. We have the Alan Arthurs Library. We have an Alan Arthurs Street. You know, so we take into serious consideration, right, the contribution that our leaders make. All right, and there have been some that we have even honored posthumously and so on. Right? So we hold our leaders in high regard up to this day, and we don't forget. And then we educate our children. Like myself, I currently coordinate a literacy program, right, where I educate young minds on the area of literacy. The new thing that we're going into right now is financial literacy, which is so crucial. I have made my contribution in scouting as well. I was a scout leader for 25 years. All right, I was district scout representative in the 90s. I have worked with Gilberto Riverol, for some time. And then a chief, I think I met you there officially at one of our annual general meetings.
Yes, I'm also in public scouting.
Were you a patron?
Right now I'm chairman of the Belize Scout Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Right? And no. Permit me to say more about my contribution, service to our community. I like I said earlier, I attended Holy Ghost School. I went to Dangriga Communal High School. I did some teacher training. In those days, we had the first teacher, second class, teacher, first class. That's the system that I came through. All right, and from there, right, after leaving high school, I had the opportunity to taught at the primary school level. I went back to Holy Ghost to teach, and after which I left. Then I served this country as a district, not a district education officer, but a district intelligence officer assigned to the Ministry of Home Affairs. I served in that capacity for 4 years, after which I went to teach at the high school level. I taught at Delil Academy. I also taught at Ecumenical, yes, way back then. And then I was active in the Public Service Union of Belize as vice chairman for the Dangriga branch. I have always been an advocate of your brothers and sisters keeper, very active in the Neighborhood Watch movement. Currently, I'm president of the third New Site Neighborhood Watch movement. I'm also a member of the Citizen Advisory Committee of the police. So I'm well grounded in the community. Community service has been my thing, my forte. I love working for Dangriga, for the citizens of Dangriga, and I continue to do so until such time.
Dangriga is known as the culture capital, so what would you say is there to keep that alive, to keep that culture alive?
Okay, we continue to preserve our culture. There is much more to be done because there is a need, a current need, a dire need, right, to have Dangriga as a tourist destination. One of our major concerns is the fact that many of our visitors, they would come, all right, they would maybe go to Pelican, right, and then after that, right, they catch a boat out to the Keys or to Hopkins or to Placencia, but they don't normally stay in Dangriga. So that is our major concern, and we have a strong feeling, and we are moving in that direction as the current town council, right, to bring more attraction, to bring more visitors, right, to Dangriga. We want our visitors at least to stop, right, because we have attractions for them. And so now, when they come, they don't take long. They really don't take long. And so we want them to be able. So what we're doing, we're encouraging small businesses, not permanent structures per se, all right, to be constructed along our beaches, at least so that we ourselves and our visitors, can walk along our beach and, we can have a nice time and so on, right? So, right, there is a need for, for Dangriga to become a tourist mecca. That's it. Well, our local artists are keeping the culture alive. The National Garifuna Council, right, is doing its part as well. The Golisi Community Primary School, is also, doing their part by teaching Garifuna, right, at the school. However, though, like I said earlier, there is much more things to be done. This is what I would want to see as part of our cultural preservation. The teaching of the language is very, very important. Okay, we have reached a point where only those people basically, like over the age of 50, would speak the language. And those below that age, right, are not speaking, but quite a number of them, right, understand. Hopkins is ahead of us when it comes to that. So there is a need to continue teaching a language. I need to commend Gwen Eunice Gonzalez, for making a move, in that direction, in teaching Garifuna. She has a program where Garifuna is being taught, and I believe that, we need to have more things like that. In terms of our traditional outfit, I need to commend one or two of our people who continue to wear their outfit every day, and not only on 19th, you see? And so there is a need for our people to wear their clothes every day, eat their food every day, right? Dance their dances every day. This is what we are encouraging people to do. It is a challenge, an enormous one per se, right? But I believe that once we continue, right, to advocate, right, the importance of preserving our culture, right, in certain ways, as I mentioned, I believe we will go a long way. In terms of Garifuna crafts, there is a center on Magoon Street belonging to one Francis Suaso, right, that promotes the sale of Garifuna artifacts. Pen Cayetano, continues to make his contribution in that area. Mr. Astin Rodriguez, right, and his daughters, are still making the drums and so on. But that is for business, right? We don't have a situation where you go to a home, drums are there, right? You don't go to a home, right, and you hear the language. You don't go to a home and you see. So there's a lot of things that we need to do, all right, to continue the preservation of our culture. But so far, right, we are still making some forward strides, but I personally feel that it's not enough and that we need to do more.
Is farming and fishing still a way of life? Because you mentioned that before. So is that still something that's being done?
No, those lands that I mentioned about earlier, west of Bakatong, way up maybe 2-3 miles or more, all those lands, belonged to our people, right? But those lands have been acquired, right? In some cases, acquired by government for distribution as lots to needy residents. There are one of two families who kept their lands, right, and subdivided those lands, right, for their families. So that lifestyle, right, has changed. Quite a number of our people still own farmlands, yes, but they don't farm those lands. All right, they don't farm those lands at all. All right, and so in terms of fishing, right, very few of our people, right, are fishing. Right? Maybe only about 0.9%. You know, it's just not happening. Well, you know, with hunting now, with new regulations and so on, you just can't hunt now, right? So things have changed over the years, but you still find one or two, but it's not there like before.
Flores said they're looking forward to celebrating Dangriga Day. He shares their expectations.
Since 2008, the Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust has created opportunities for Belizeans to develop themselves and their communities. The trust employs tools that are intuitive, collaborative, and accessible so that every Belizean is empowered to achieve their full potential. Over 200,000 Belizeans have been impacted because of our various initiatives. The Belize Natural Energy Charitable Trust, empowering Belizeans of today to create the Belize of tomorrow.
I remember the days when trucks used to line up at the Guatemala border, and we could have only watch as they come in loaded with LPG and then left with we Belizean dollars. Things changed since, because the Belizeans they drive now, that we have the jobs, and are definitely proud to be able to keep me dollars home. Either Elvis Roaches and either one of the Belizean drivers for the National Gas Company. I haul butane from the new state-of-the-art terminal to the port of Big Creek. The hard work, but at the end of the day, I go home to my family and provide for them. Thanks to NGC, I did do my leap part to build my country. We the all Belizeans on this team, and we're proud to work hard to deliver one product will last longer and give you more value for money. I proud to work at NGC, and for you we Belizean people.
The National Gas Company Belize Limited, fueling Belize forward.
We are the Barry, offering you great products, good service, and of course, the lowest prices in the entire country. Visit us in Belize City, Belmopan, San Ignacio Cayo, Orange Rock, and now in San Pedro, La Isla Bonita. The Barry. Get more? Be less.
Shell V-Power, with 3 times more cleaning and friction-reducing molecules. Go well. Go Shell.
It don't matter what part of the jewelry.
When we started this discussion, you were talking about the differences between north side and south side. You said there was a clear difference between both sides. How did that finally heal or end?
Well, Rene, it's the young people, right? Like knowing young people, right? They don't believe what their parents believe. They are so different, and that continues to be the case as we move forward in this world. So it is the young people, that I owe it to that, that have caused that to not to happen anymore. Yeah, it's the young people. They just decide not to.
Well, the whole things were always based on a divide and conquer thing, and that was one of the vestiges of colonialism, where as a people you were divided so that you can remain conquered. That's the whole idea behind that. And I guess this is north side and south side things are remnants of what colonialism really was and what it did. Because today I can look and say, okay, I'm one person, I'm a Belizean. I might be a Belizean of Creole extraction, Belizean of Garifuna extraction, and so on and so forth. But the most important thing is that we are all Belizeans and we are all equal, and so there's no north side or south side that should be coming up and springing up between us, because we are all equal. All equal constitutionally in this independent country of Belize. So that situation that you described to me at the beginning of the show no longer exists here in Dangriga, right?
Yes, and Rene, just to just to highlight one point here too. On February 15th, 1895, Dangriga became a town, gazetted. Right? And since that time, Rene, till now, about 127 years ago, we have not really celebrated, right, this town. Oh, yeah, we have not really. No, what I would want to see, though, right, is that we have an annual celebration, right, celebrating Dangriga, right, and as part of that, right, invite, some of those villages in the Stan Creek district, right, to celebrate Dangriga with us, right? And it is so fitting, right, that it happens during Valentine's. February 15th is still Valentine's, right? And so this is what I would want to see for us to celebrate that day, because it's an important day for us, but somewhere or the other, right, many of us are overlooking it. In some cases, we are not aware of when Dangriga became a town, And so in the past, right, we celebrated Dangriga, but not around that time. We used
what was the exact date again?
February 15, 1895.
February 15, 1895. So that is the date you want to celebrate on. I just wanted to make it clear.
Around that time. So Rene, this is what I want to see. So that when that time comes, right, we celebrate Dangriga, and then we invite, other people to come and celebrate with us. That's what I want to see.
So it'll be Dangriga Day. Now, you are town administrator of Dangriga, right? What's the job of the town administrator here in Dangriga? What do you do?
Okay, Rene, I bridge that gap between the council and, right, administration. I am accountable to the council, and I'm also accountable to the administrative aspect of the council. So I'm right in the middle there. Now, whatever the council decides to implement, I am the person that will implement that, right, as requested by the council. I deal with a lot of problems every day. Problems of administration, problems from the community, problems from my own colleagues, and so on, to be able to deal with. So it's a big responsibility. It's really a tall order, But as a man, with experience, I believe that, that I'm handling it. I am a strong advocate of community participation. I believe in that. All right? And as town administrator, I believe it's my responsibility to ensure that the council involves the people in its work. That is important to me. And that is also important to the council. Right? Why? Because many times we take our people for granted, but our people need to understand, all right, that they must meet their obligations to the municipality, and that the town council must understand that it has to provide the services to the people. So it goes both ways, right, for the benefit of our municipality. And so this is what I am working on, and as we speak, we're embarking on, on a move to create that public awareness. Right now, we're in the foreshore area of Dangriga, talking to people about their obligation and the service that we provide, and educating them about everything that we do at the town council. Yes.
Okay, Mr. Flores, you spoke about Dangriga Day. You said that you want to see the 15th of February being declared as Dangriga Day, and that a festivity be held or an occasion be held that will bring the people of Dangriga together to learn about their municipality, to learn about their culture, and to very much appreciate where the municipality is at this point in time. Would that be the spirit of this whole thing? And flesh it out for me how you would like to see Dangriga Day celebrated.
Okay, celebrating Dangriga is celebrating what is Dangriga, what makes Dangriga Dangriga, what makes us Dangrigans.
What does that? Well, exactly what makes Dangriga Dangriga?
Right. Now, one, we must celebrate our achievement, because as a people, we have achieved over the years, right, because of our resilience. Right, one, we have to show, right, that we have leaders from among us that have excelled, so that our young people can look at those, at least the history of those leaders, right, even those that may be alive, you know, that they would be there, would be there at the show. The issue of our clothing, how we used to dress, because we used to wear hat, right, the long pants, right, tucking, you know, and so on, slippers, and so on, you know. So we want our young people to be able to see that, right? The display of our food. What are the different foods? We have the hodot, we have the tapau, you know. We have the drinks like gorent, you know, sahel, you know, just to name a few, you know, polali, you know, so that when we have those there, you know, the children will be able to see these things, you know, with the label on them, you know, somebody would be there to help them with pronunciation, things like that. Right, our artists would be there, right, so that we can see who our artists are, right, you know, and how they play. Well, we all know how they play, right, but we want to see them in action. You know, we have a lineup where you have Poots, you have Reckless, you have Mahabob, you know, you have Miami. You know, all these guys are still around today, you know, showcasing our talent. We would want to see our produce, right? The actual yam, the cassava, whatever we plant, we have those on display, you know. And so, where the area where we would want to have that though is on the green, you know, facing the beach, because Dangriga is unique, you know. We have our beach, right? We have sun too, you know. We have beach. We have man. Dangriga looks so good, but only because now we're faced with some problems, right? Why we have to like fix up our beaches and so on. But apart from that, right? It's rare that you would find a town, right? You know, that has a river flowing through it, you know, coming from the hills right through the center of town. You know, that's what Dangriga has, right? You know, and that river is called the North Stank Creek River, you know, passing through, you know, Dangriga, one of our major rivers, right? We want to be able to display our crafts there, right? You know, because there are some of our people who still make the drums, right? They make strainers, they make grater, right? Some of them sew, right? Our Garifuna outfits, you know. So everything that is Dangriga, you know, will be displayed out there, right? Even paddles, our boats, because way back then our people used to dug out the canoes, you know, from huge stems, when they dig it out, you know. I am not sure if we still have one or two people around, but I believe we may have, you know, who can still do dugout canoes, you know. At least to have that there, at least to show our young people how it is done, you know. So these are the kinds of things that I would want to see, right, for Dangriga Day. celebrating our culture, celebrating our people, and everything that is related, right, to Dangriga.
You sound like you need to do something along our Belize Watch team, right? Which is knowledge of our past, which is what you're going to bring to the culture, you know, celebrating our present, you know, and moving forward to our future, you know the past and the present, put them together, and then you could plan a better future. So you're looking at a culture day, basically, a day where you expose, you bring all the people of Dangriga together in one big cultural explosion, where you look at the history of how Dangriga became a municipality in 1795, and all the proud products that the municipality has produced, because whether it be products, I'm talking not only products from the land, but products from the people that, you know, especially the people that great outstanding Belizeans that have Dangriga as their foundation, you know, many outstanding Belizeans have Dangriga as their foundation. So there should be tribute paid to all these outstanding Belizeans who come from Dangriga, this very important municipality in southern Belize. And then you teach your history and what have you, and share the food and the whole. That's what you're saying, right? A whole big affair, right? And bring people together, right? And celebrating Dangriga, and in celebrating Dangriga, celebrating Belize. You have grown up in Dangriga all your life. Earlier, you told me you have not even been out of the country. Am I right in saying that? And that's by choice, right? That you have not been out of the country.
Yeah. Right. And because I have been at home all my life, you know, I have seen Dangriga changed over the years. Like I alluded to earlier in our show, Dangriga was a small place, right? And then into the 70s, 72, 73, you know, it expanded to Lakeland, right, and Bengoche and West, right, when Dangriga began to grow. And like over the years, I've noticed quite a number of things. But there is a need, though. There is a need for new areas of study to be embarked by our students, or those that are promising. Instead of being a soldier or a teacher, right, or a police officer or so, you know, we need to venture out into new areas of study. What about marine biology, right? Any marine science, skills in engineering. All right, we only have few engineers, all right, in this country. Dangriga may only have one or none, right? And so these are just some areas that we need to go into, all right? In the field of medical science, you know, there is a need for us to have more doctors. You know, we do have some nurses, we could do it more, but in the area of general medical practice, we need more training in that area. In terms of attorneys, you know, you can count, you know, the Garifuna attorneys, you know, in areas of business. Way back then, our people used to own the little petty shops, right? The little saloons and so on. But now, right, they have been taken over, you know, by different people who have made Dangriga their home. All right, and so these are just, you know, some of the challenges that we face. Now Dangriga is still predominantly Garifuna, yes, right? Predominantly Garifuna. However, it has become a multiracial society. All right, and you know, we have always been all embracing, right? And so we're living in harmony, you know, despite the fact that we used to have some problems in the past. right? But we have overcome that hurdle. They have to be living in harmony as one people. I could recall many years ago, like in the late 60s and early 70s, certain parts of our town used to flood, right? Right? In terms of having that mitigation effort in those days, we never had much of that, right? It was Dr. Randa who brought in that, all right, mitigation effort, right, to alleviate flooding in some parts of our town, right? And so what happened is that even though we experienced some flooding, and there are some areas that we cannot really drain because Dangriga is already 5 feet below sea level. And so it becomes difficult to drain some areas. But all of our drains, right, are linked so that we have done a little in the area of mitigating flooding and so on, but there is much more that needs to be done. In terms of hotels, right? Hotels, we have some hotels, right, that people can come to, right? We have some stores. It's a pity that they are not owned by our people, and this is what I want to see, for our people to begin to own those big businesses, right, and so on. So this is not happening, and this is what I would want to happen. The town has grown over the years, yes, right? But there is a need for our people to be a part of that growth and development. At this stage, that our involvement, right, is so minimal. All right? So there is a lot that we need to do. Mm-hmm.
Two things come to my mind. Dangriga has a very beautiful open area, especially in front of where the Chiste Garcia Stadium is, and that whole open area there. I looked at it the last time when I was here talking with your mayor, Mariano, and I wondered to myself, what would it take to fill that area in and create a beach? Because the sun seems to be moving away, but if some study it can be done, I am sure that situation can be reversed and the beach can be maybe built up back, and Dangriga can maybe have perhaps one of the most beautiful beaches in the country, because that's one of the most beautiful and scenic areas. It's just a beautiful open area, you know. Have as a council and as a town administrator, has any thought been given to creating that sort of attraction so Dangriga can become that tourist mecca?
Yes, we have been trying. We had a visit from 4 Cuban specialists, right, a few months ago, all right, who studied the coastline between Dangriga and Hopkins and have made some recommendations. And even before they made a formal recommendation to us, they advised us as to the way forward to mitigate the issue of erosion in front of the Anglican school. And Rene, you visited that area some time ago.
I was there a few weeks ago, and it's really much improved. That's why I'm saying I cannot see why we don't have a big beach there if we really work at it.
No, and what happened is that we have visited with some of our people along the coastline, but you know, we have told them that they too must make their contribution, because the amount of land that has been lost is their land, right? And so we have asked them, right, to be a part of that effort. So we have not gone all the way to the pier as such, but at least we were able to reach by Williams, right, to speak to those people there. Because that situation along our coastline is really getting out of hand, especially when you go to the south along the coastline. Quite a bit of land has been lost as a result of erosion, you know, and it is owed to, you know, to climate change. You know, climate change is a big factor today, all right? And so Dangriga is no exception when it comes to that. So for those people who own properties along the beach, all right, we are approaching these people to talk with them to see how we can partner so that at least we can help build it back. Now, we still have part of the beach, right, that is already beautiful. You go front of the District Education Center, nice beach, true? Right, if you go there, you'll find a nice beach. There are certain parts of the beach that is nice. Like in the Rutis Cabana area, right, El Hobeni Park area, like south of that, right, the beach is okay, right? But between the mouth of the river, right, going south, right, to that area there, to Alejo Bene Park, the erosion is extensive, all right? And so there is a lot that we need to get done, right, as a local authority to mitigate the effects of erosion along our coastline. But we have been advised as to how to do it by the Cuban specialists who visited us. Yes, sir.
Well, at least there's a way forward where that is concerned. Another issue that the mayor had mentioned to me is the size of the tongue limits. That in itself may need to expand in the near future, so as to make sure that everyone in the area receive the proper services from the municipality. What are your comments on that as tongue administrator?
We were very, very instrumental in conducting a tongue boundary exercise, and of course, with the cost benefit, we also conducted a cost benefit analysis because both of them have to go together. Yeah. Right? You extend, right? So what will come in return for municipality from extending? So we have conducted that exercise, all right, submitted to local government, all right? We are just awaiting response. Now, as it is, very, very important to note, that area north of Dangriga up to that road by Pelican there, right, and Pelican, right, that's where Dangriga is. You know, north of Pelican is outside of Dangriga, right? And then it goes to, there is a road that is called San Jose Road, right? That's an extension to that same road that takes you to the airstrip. All right, we go to a certain point on that road. All right, that is where Dangriga is, but we are extending Dangriga west to link up with Sarawi village boundary. But where is Dangriga now? West. Now, where that road west of Gulisi, the monument site area, where the monument is, all right, west of that is that's where Dangriga is now, right? And then, like I said earlier, we're extending to Sarawi village boundary. And then south, there is an old bridge. There is an old bridge going to, right? It's no longer serving its purpose, of course, right? Yeah, going to Commerce Bight, right? There is an old bridge there, right? There is no water running from under that bridge now, right? As a result of dumping and so, all right? Where that bridge is, right? That's where Dangriga is currently. So we're extending now, all right, to include Commerce Bight Port, right, and Gragra. So all that will be a part of Dangriga. Okay. Yes, I understand it's before cabinet.
All right. Yeah. That sounds good. Well, before we wrap up, let me just ask my granddaughter Kylie if there's anything she would like to say.
Well, I had a wonderful time here in talking to Mr. Flores, and I enjoyed this opportunity to be here with my lovely grandfather.
All right, granddaughter. Thank you so much, Kylie, for being with me on this visit here and for talking with Mr. Francis Flores, the tongue administrator of Dangriga. Well, Mr. Francis, I'll give you the last words.
Well, it was a pleasure being a part of this show. Shows like these, You know, I'm no stranger to shows like these. And, you know, it's also my pleasure to share with Dangriga, you know, what I know as the son of the Dangriga soil, you know, a servant of the people, you know, a champion of the grassroots, you know, who has been there, all right, in the struggle, you know, without leaving. I look at myself as, right, as a town legend, right? Even though I'm not old enough in comparison to Sylvia Flores, Dr. Aranda, Roy Keatano, and so on, but you know, I have been there providing a service to our people on the ground, because that's where it starts. You know, it's local, and that's what I believe. It starts from the bottom to the top. And so, even though I may be at the top, yes, right? But at the same time, I am still down there with my people, serving them and providing the much needed goods and services to them. Thank you very much for having me a part of the show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Flores, and all the best to you. All right. Belize Watch. Knowledge of the past, impacting the present, building the future.
Celebration time. It don't matter what part of the jewel you come from. You that you